Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel at Richard Getter. And this is What's Up with Richard. And I see I already have a little chat here, quarantine and chill. Well, he's on the other side of the ocean, so he's going to watch tomorrow when he wakes up. Thanks for stopping by anyway, quarantine and chill. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. And if you're a regular, thank you for your continued support. I do see that I got a brand new subscriber. So I will have to do a shout out next week when I go through the list and see who signed up and who hasn't. Well, I don't know who hasn't, but I sure know who has. So, and I will definitely thank you personally for that. And I've missed you somewhere along the way. I'm sorry. I'll see what I can do, because I know there's a few on a list. I can't see them all, but that all depends on how they're signed into Google, I believe. All right, I guess you're here to see the dollhouse progress. So let's get started. First of all, it's been 2 weeks since the last live stream, and I've got some things done. Of course, we were out of town for 3 or 4 days, and I got some things done. I only work a couple hours a day, like I said before. These are finished. They're already sanded, got 2 coats of paint. I'll explain what those are here in just a few minutes. These have been, I had to put them back into the container they came in because it's easier to identify the parts that way. So it was like a puzzle. But these have been painted once and they need to be sanded and a second coat. And the same with these. This is all that decorative gingerbread that goes on the house. That's one of the last things that we're going to do on this project. So I'm not too worried about getting that done at this point. So put that aside. Also, I'm not sure about these things. They're decorative pieces that go on the top. But it looks like there's more than 5. So I'm thinking, and I haven't looked at the directions because this is one of those last things to do, that you can glue them together like this, sand them off. They're going to be painted blue and they will go up on the roof. And I'll show you that here also in a minute. I got some trim strips painted, and I'll show you the use for these here in just a little bit. And of course I have eaves, and these will line the roof edge. I'll show you that. These all need to be painted blue yet. They've all been sanded. They've all been prepped, so they're ready to go. So let's look at the dollhouse. And I'm going to start with the back first. There she is. If you look on the roof, I know it's sort of hard to see here, but I have taken a shingle and measured it the way it would fit here. And I'll give you another example on the back. And then what I had to do was to measure up and do some little fraction division. And it looked like it was about every 3/4 of an inch. I had to draw lines across, and that's how you line up your shingles. Like I say, I'll give you another demonstration on the other side. I made a template with a sheet of paper where I just measured out 3/4 of an inch all the way down. So that helped me with the line drawing. I'm going to need help from Mrs. G to help me hold the ruler when we get to the gable part of it. The only thing I've changed since last week is I've added this railing in here for the staircase. And that turned out really well. It glued in fairly easily. Everything else is pretty much the way it was the last time I saw you. Now the front is where I made all the progress. There we go. Let me tilt this down just a tad. All right, I started by building the steps down here. All that had to be taken apart, had to be painted. Each of those have been sanded, and it has two coats of paint. Those were all painted blue. I got the door in. That actually turned out pretty nice. It looks good from the outside. It doesn't look quite as good from the inside. I had a hard time fitting it. I probably spent 45 minutes sanding, fitting, and finally I said, good enough. Remember, this is Dollhouse. We're not building the Taj Mahal, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Also, I had to take all of these parts here, the railings, they all had to be sanded and painted, and this I had already finished. So that's done. Now, if you notice, this took a while. We had quite the deal trying to get this glued onto the roof. These were simple, they were small. We did this after dinner. I got plenty of glue on it. I have these weights that you put around your ankles, exercise weights. I had one draped over here. I had an S hook here. You can see it. I had an S hook here with a chain running across. I had the other one on this side trying to pull it back to keep it up close. And again, before I even did that, I had to sand and fit and sand and fit. And there's still gaps, but all in all, it turned out pretty decent. So I think it looks good enough. Now there are some parts here that don't look too good, but that's what this trim is for. If I can find the right piece. There it is. And that will fit right over that and dress it up really nicely. Again, that's one of the last things that we're going to do. So, and here's the eaves I talked about before. That'll be blue, and that will be glued right on here like this with the shingles overhanging it. It'll look much better when it's painted. So, and then of course we have these things here, and they belong right up here on the top. And there are 5 of them, one for the top of each side here, and we have 2 at the end. So that'll dress it up real nicely. If you notice, I took this out. This is the bay window. And if I turn this around, the bay window, that's the bottom because it's painted. And right there, it will fit on. It's a little bit of a tough fit right there, but you get the idea. Ah, there it goes. That'll be glued in. And then, I don't know if I can hold that. It also has a roof that goes over the top, and then that's all shingled. That'll be a tough one to shingle right there. Whoops. So I think that'll dress that up really well. If you see these little patches here, well, that look like these right here. Now these are going to be covered up with this decorative trim strip like this. So I don't really have to fill those in. That should look pretty nicely there. And then the bottom below the red trim strip, that will all be painted blue. But this is wood fill. I ended up finding this at a hardware store in Michigan City. This guy's got everything and everything in there. Everything and anything, I guess I should say. But this is wood fill. And all you do is fill it in, and then it sands off fairly easily. And it should give us a nice smooth finish when I'm done. I also did the edges here. I had two options here because this looked so bad. I could have taken some of these little sticks like this, and I could have cut them to fit, and that would have covered it. I could have put one on that side and one on the other side and actually made a little corner piece. I would have had to go buy more wood, and I think if I do a good enough sanding this off and painting, that should be satisfactory. I think it'll look pretty darn well. Oops, lost my step. That's the one part about this that's going to be tricky, is trying to keep all these pieces together. The house is falling apart. It's not even been moved into yet. Anyway, the hardest part about this project from now until finishing is going to be doing all the shingling. And I've started over here just with a few. I'm not going to use the shingles that they gave me, simply because my hot glue gun isn't hot enough. And as I put a line of glue across, by the time I started putting the shingles down there, it was hard enough and the shingles weren't fitting. And they say that the shingles that they supplied, you shouldn't use white glue because they tend to warp. Well, I tested it out and they're absolutely correct. They tended to warp. So I've already had these shingles for other projects. So I just decided these will look just fine, especially when I get the whole thing shingled and put together. You won't notice the difference between one shingle and the other. So, okay, it looks like this contractor's got to figure out how to explain this to the person that's buying this place. It's only glued in a couple spots here, so may have, that's all right too, because it was a little off center when I put it on there and I was disappointed. So yeah, maybe I got lucky. Who knows? If you take a look at the door, I think you can see it didn't fit real well on the inside. Not bad, but I've had other doors in other dollhouses, but they already came pre-assembled because they knew what kind of trouble amateur dollhouse builders would have putting those things together, and I am proof of that. All right. I'm gonna have to use more glue on that piece. Okay, well, that's all right, because my grandkids, I don't know how many times I've fixed my granddaughters. Both granddaughters have had slight catastrophes, especially with things like railings and stairs and doors and that kind of stuff. So you just buy yourself some glue, and usually they're easy enough pieces to pop back on and glue. I think it'll be the same with this dollhouse, especially the roof. For some reason, those shingles like to pop off, and I use liquid nails, and it's pretty strong, but even then it dries and gets real hard, and they sometimes will pop off. So you just glue them back on the best you can and not worry about it. As you can see, I got two comments. Mrs. G's telling me I got comments who. Oh, not the real McCoy is here. Holy cow. How are you doing, Martin? Who else is there? PJ, I can't see.
You're a little blurry too. I don't know why you're not in focus.
I'm not in focus?
Not very well.
It might be the lighting. Can you flip on the other lights on?
Bruno Boyd.
What?
Bruno Boyd?
Oh, that's I think that's Evan's roommate.
Oh.
Hi, Bruno. Okay, is that better? I feel like I'm being blinded back here by that light, but.
Wait, what's that noise?
Maybe you're.
Oh, because I'm too close. Bye.
Bye.
I think that's better.
That noise was Mrs. G. She had the phone too close to where we're broadcasting from here. Anyway, as you can see, step by step, every time I did something, I highlighted it in pink step by step. In some cases, it was, you almost had to read the directions 3 or 4 times. One of the issues I have with this dollhouse is there are very few, if any, illustrations. I'll compare that to some of the other dollhouses when I do a final review. So anyway, what the heck? She turned the kitchen light off. You're trying to save a lot of energy around here. And it's like, we've got the best light bulbs I think you can buy. I mean, those LED things. Is it still squeaking?
Yeah, it's just not, you're not in focus very clear like you normally are. I don't know why.
Well,
Anyway,
I probably look better that way out of focus. So what the heck? What the not the real McCoy said something. I got a lead up here. Nice job on your, okay. Thank you. It's really hard for me to read from this distance, and it's a little bit blurry. And I'm not used to this live stream stuff at all. You probably need a lot better equipment than a laptop, that's for sure. All right, let me put this thing over here so I don't break that. We just ended up taking a trip over to Illinois. And in order to get there, and this will be, I think, Wednesday's video. I don't have a Wednesday video. I don't have a Wednesday video. So I think this is going to be the video. I did tape our drive down around the southern part of Lake Michigan and west of Chicago. And as much as I enjoy visiting my daughter and my son-in-law, my granddaughter and my grandson, I detest the ride, that drive. And we were lucky this time because there isn't a lot of traffic this time of the year. In the summer, it's absolutely miserable. Even with COVID, it was miserable. And we're fortunate because normally when we drive there, people are leaving the city on a Friday when we go. So traffic is mostly on the other side. And we leave on a Sunday morning and it's just the opposite. I mean, literally, traffic can be backed up 3, 4, 5 miles. Easy. Once we get to a certain section, there are 3 highways that come in. We're on Interstate 94 that goes through Michigan and then goes through that little corner of Indiana into Illinois, and that's 94. And then somewhere in there, Interstate 65 from Indianapolis, Indiana, merges in. You've got the toll road that can merge in at that almost that same area. You've got is it 55? No, that must be further up. And then, of course, it splits off. 94 goes like into Chicago, and we take Interstate 294. Oh, what's it? Of course, you got Highway 80 coming in from the western part of Illinois and Iowa. And it's just, when the cars are on the road, it's just miserable. And on the way home, it was like, I thought for sure we were going to have a fender bender. What happens is these trucks, for some reason, think that all they have to do is turn on their signal and I have to immediately move. And sometimes that's possible. Sometimes it's not. This guy just turned on his signal. I don't know if he saw me or not, but he turned on his signal. I'm in this lane, getting ready to pass him, and he flips on his signal. I don't think it blinked 2 or 3 times and tried to pull in front of me. Luckily, he saw me at the last minute. I'm slamming on the brake, hoping there's nobody behind me. And of course, you've got the idiots out there that think Interstate 94 and 294 are racetracks. And literally, the speed limit is 60s, 55, 60 in some of those places. We're doing 65 just, and sometimes 70 just to keep up with traffic. And people are flying by us at 80, 85. I detest that drive. And my wife knows it. She usually drives too, and then I usually drive home. So she was driving when I was doing the videotaping because that would be insane to videotape and drive at the same time. I wish I would have been videotaping when that guy cut in front of me. So I would have definitely contacted the company because that happens all the time. So anyway, we got there and I decided I needed to take a walk. And my granddaughter went to volleyball practice. It was only a half an hour practice. And I went with my daughter. We parked the car and then we took a walk along this college campus in town. It was freezing cold. I mean, in the teens, freezing cold. So we cut the walk a little bit short. We get back to the car and she's looking at her watch. Oh, we did so many steps. She says, what do you mean? You're looking at your watch and you're doing that? Yeah, this is a Samsung Active 2. Now she's showing me all the things. She says, oh, I've seen that before. That would really be cool. I looked at those before, says, but I wasn't sure. I had heard people had bad issues with it connecting to the phone, or if you were so far away from the phone, it didn't connect and all that. Just so we haven't had any trouble. Oh, okay. So we get back to the house after picking up granddaughter, and my son-in-law hears the conversation. We were talking about the watches, and it's like, guess what? Costco has them for $100 off. $100 off? Does that give you some idea of how much they cost? Not totally out of line, but okay. Let's go to Costco and see if they have any. Maybe the sale's off and we don't have to worry about it. Well, guess what? The sale was off, or the sale was on, and I said, okay, get out the credit card. Here we go. And I bought the smartwatch. Of course, now my sister-in-law goes with us on most of the trips. And she's looking at this thing going, oh, that looks nice. And she actually bought one too. Now, the only issue with my dear sister-in-law is that technology troubles her even more than it troubles me. So trying to figure out how this thing works. Oh, did you see that? It just turned right on. And in fact, Martin, if you're still here, oh, see, tells me right now I'm live on YouTube, as if I don't know that. And I could trash that. So that's what I'm going to do, trash that. Earlier, you made a comment, and I'm looking at my phone. This is in church. And it vibrated. And I look, you can sort of scroll over there, and it says, oh, not the real McCoy, responded to some comment. It's like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And of course, I get all kinds of notifications, emails. Now you can go into the phone and turn all that stuff on and off. That boggled my mind. Also over here, this is a great one, but I can go over here and turn on my exercise program. Where are you at? There it is right there. And so I can count my steps. And it's nice because I walk around the house. I don't have my phone with me. It doesn't count the steps, but the watch will. We went shopping up at the outlet mall. Mrs. G went shopping, and I just walked on the outdoor outlet mall. And I got almost 3/4 of a mile in just while she was shopping. And you get all your steps in. You can actually program the exercise you want to do. And if I'm sitting on the couch too long, a little thing pops up saying, ZZZZ, you need to get up and do something every hour. That's sort of nice. Here, I'll show you another feature of this silly thing here. Go back. On my clock face, if I touch over here and I push measure, I don't know if you can see, you aren't going to be able to see it. That's a little heart. So I'm going to find out what my pulse is without having to do this. I have an idea. It's probably in the 80s right about now. 90. That must mean I'm nervous being on YouTube. Normally, when I exercise, though, it's because I take blood pressure medications. One of them keeps my heart rate low. So if I exercise real hard, if I get my heart up to 120 beats a minute, and I know there's a max at somebody my age, but I'm not even close to, I can't even get it close to that. And I get tired really, really fast. So, and I bought a heart rate monitor years ago, and I told my doctor, well, I bought this heart rate monitor, and he sort of chuckled, saying, yeah, well, with the medicines you take, you're probably never going to need that. So anyway, I spent a lot of money and I got a neat piece of technology, and so far it's been a toy. Expensive toy, but not that expensive. It wasn't expensive as my bicycles. The weather started to break around here. Uh-oh, not the real Macaw. I gotta have Pat in here. She can read this. Oh, cool. Yeah, technological dinosaur. Believe me, the only reason I could videotape with my phone and download it on that laptop using Power Director, there's the plug for Power Director, which is the editing tool that I use. The only reason I could do that was because my son-in-law gave me instructions, because I was saving it improperly. Well, I was producing it and saving it, but I have to go back and save it a second time. I wasn't doing it right. And I bet I spent 3 weeks trying to figure it out. And then we went to visit, and lo and behold, oh, well, you just have to do this. Save here, click, and you're good to go. And it's worked every time. Now, what's going to happen if I get a new phone or a camera or something? I have to make another nasty trip around the southern part of Lake Michigan and get some help from my son-in-law. Anyway, but yeah, my sister-in-law is not very good with the technology either. So, and in fact, I forgot that if you're wearing this, like we're in church today, and it dawned on me, we have to turn, we usually turn our phones off so they're not ringing during the middle of the service, which happens sometimes and people get totally embarrassed. But I did not think for a while there, it's a, what the heck? This thing is going to go off. I got to figure out how to mute it. And oh, look at that. I accidentally touched it and now I got the weather. So anybody interested in what the weather is here in Michigan other than lousy? Okay, today's high was 54 degrees. Not bad. The only problem was it pretty much rained all day. So there is no snow. All the pictures of the beach and the snow and the ice on the lake, most of it's pretty much disappeared. Tomorrow's high will be 30 degrees. So we're going to go from a high of, I think it was actually 54 here today. High of 54 today, and tomorrow it will be freezing all day. Freezing Fahrenheit's 32. So it'll be below freezing all day tomorrow. Anyway, if you don't like the weather in Michigan, you know the old saying, just wait 10 minutes, it'll change. So I left here this morning and it looked like it was going to be sunny. We drove 5 miles up the road and it was misty, overcast. And down in Indiana, the visibility because of fog was, you know, half a mile. So it was not good at all. So, but this week I got 2 bicycle rides in. I was able to take out the touring bike, and I didn't ride out of town because the snow was still melting and the roads were a mess. And usually when you get back, I think I rode for an hour both days. When I got back, it took me probably a half an hour just to clean the bike up relatively well. So to get the snow and to get the water, and you know, here they used to use salt on the roads, but I think they have some kind of conditioner that they put on the road surfaces now. So you get all that residue up on the bike, and of course That's a steel frame, so you really need to make sure that you get some of that stuff off of there. Um, but they were nice rides. I think some people probably got a little bit worried when they saw me riding by their house about 4 times because I just did loops. I have certain loops around town where I can get a little bit of a hill. Found out just how bad a shape I'm actually into bicycle. Terrible, terrible, terrible shape. You know, having the gym closed the last 2 years, because that's what I would do in the winter. I'd go up to the gym and I could pedal 3 days a week, 4 days a week on a stationary bike. That made all the difference in the world. You get on a regular bike and it's not too bad. I mean, yeah, it's different because you've got hills and wind and stuff, but it's not been good. So anyway, I don't know what else to say. I guess that's about it, unless you guys have something to say. I'm glad I actually have a few visitors here. I'm sort of wondering, my brother Bob sometimes pops in. If you want to watch a good snowmobiling video, last week he put up a snowmobiling video just maybe 50 miles north of here, but we still had some good snow. Before my brothers, Jim and Bob, went up to the UP and snowmobile, they did a little trail here. And they actually got my sister. She was on the mystery snowmobile. They never mentioned her by name, but she did make a comment later. And I said, "Oh, so you're the mystery snowmobiler." And she did a pretty good job. I mean, I'm not getting on one of those things. Those things are fast. And I don't think they were going real fast on these particular trails. But if they get up north on some of those trails, you can get cutting pretty good on a snowmobile. I mean, I remember years and years ago, behind my parents' house, there was a tomato field, huge tomato field. And I think my brother Jim was really the first one to get a snowmobile. And we would go around this big old field. He made a track going around. And I think we were doing like 40. I could have swore I was doing 120. It's like I'm being on a bicycle. You're in a car, you can go down the hill 50, 60 miles an hour. You don't sweat it. I'm on a bicycle at 30 and I'm holding on for dear life. And usually the brakes are being squeezed with eyes like this. Ah! I remember doing that once on the way home from school when we were commuting. Mike Ladis, who was my buddy, we used to commute. He used to go every day. But on the days that I went we took a different route, and he said, let's go for it. Now, this is not exactly the nicest road to go down because there are potholes, and it was just no brakes this time. Hold on. Hope the insurance company feels sorry for me. I had good insurance, so I don't have to worry about that. Oh, Lord, that was scary. And I don't think I've ever done that since. There's a reason they put brakes on bicycles, and I have no desire to race. In fact, my bikes, none of them are fast bikes. My idea of a good bicycle ride is enjoying the scenery. And part of the reason that I tour is because if I get tired, I can stop and rest, and nobody cares. Hey, look at that tourist over there. He's stopping and resting. He must have ridden a long way. So, hey, Mrs. G, I know you're in there. Am I still blurry? She helped me a lot with this dollhouse because trying to put that gable on there was so much of a pain. I mean, it's tacky glue, but it still takes a while for it to set. So anyway, thank you all. I suppose, how long have I been on here? 34 minutes. That's not too bad. By the way, not the real McCoy. I did enjoy your premiere the other day. Whether you were able to see it or not, we were able to see it. It was a nice video, and you're able to communicate back and forth, but it's sort of hard probably for you to think, now, what was going on at that particular time? But I really would like to try that. I just have to find a good time to do it. And I now have on this watch a world clock. So if I have some clue where somebody lives someplace in the world, I have some idea of what time it is. So anyway, thank you all for stopping by. And if you're watching this on the playback, thank you very much. I see Quarantine and Chill will be watching tomorrow as he's, I think after your premiere too, Martin, I did the same thing. It was like, it was starting to get, I think I was right around a little after 11 p.m. here. So anyway, so are you starting your day? It's night here, so it's got to be past morning there, I would think. Anyway, happy surfing. And what's it say? Okay. All right. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed and you're watching this, feel free to do so. That's always makes an old guy feel happy. And you can ring that little reminder bell there so you can keep up with what's up with Richard. And I guess looking at this thing, now you know what's up with Richard. Until next time.